G'day, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Scouting Australia podcast, powered by Australian Property Scout Buyers Agency. I'm your host, Sammy Gordon, and today, guys, I'm pumped for a Where Are They Now episode. We've got one of the most highly rated episodes to date in the Scouting Australia podcast. He's a man that had a very inspirational journey and portfolio story when he's recorded his ep, mate. This would have been about a year ago. One of the first investor stories that we ever released on the podcast. So I'm extremely excited to get Mr. Big Nick Wilcox back into the studio, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
That's good,
Thanks
mate.
for having me.
No, that's absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure getting you back in. It was funny, man, and you laughed about this because you're like, mate, how do you tie for fifth when you and JT tied for fifth place last year and the most downloaded eps to date in the first year of the podcast as well? But mate, you've overtaken him now.
Oh, really?
You're just in front of him, man. Yeah, you guys are like just
Yeah.
you keep trading places. So mate, I'm really looking forward to diving back into this. And you got a very interesting Where Are They Now story, I believe, that I think people will take a lot of value out of, different from the normal one. So man, I'm really looking forward to diving into it.
Very different. I don't know if you advocate for what I did or what I've done, but
Mate, everyone's journey is different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone goes for different things and everyone's life's at a different stage, you know what I mean? So I think it was the right stage for you to do what you did.
Yeah.
But it was cool because today is the day after the summit. And man, I know you told me last night, like you're so keen to get rampant again and take this thing to the next level and go hard again. So, but man, I'm keen to unpack, obviously what you've done so far before we jump into that side of things. First of all, mate, I'm very curious as to what you thought of the summit yesterday. You were on the round table, mate. You were pretty good there, man. You had some pretty good key points and takeaways and had some good little value and nuggets to add in as well. But man, what did you think of the summit overall? What was your verdict on it?
mate, it was really good. To be honest, it's 450 people in a room. It's crazy, like what you've achieved in such a short period of time since I met you when we started doing deals.
Yeah.
When you had no employees, so you had a whole crew of team there. You had such a large support from all your clients or just followers, and kind of the mindset piece you guys had at the start. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to start buying property.
Man, I think it's cool because, for a lot of people who haven't heard Nick's journey, you guys go all the way back. It was on the 20th of March in 2023, so almost bang on a year, a tad over a year ago now, nearly 13 months ago now. And you look up, or if you search in the title, 12 properties in 3 years and how this investor aggressively scaled his portfolio, you'll be able to go back and hear the original journey of Big Nick and his journey to date to that time. And I think it's a really cool one because Nick was with me like very, very early on. It's kind of like he's saying there, like when I had no staff and obviously it was a much smaller business. And yeah, man, he saw something very different in me. And that's what, man, you and I, we've had a soft spot for each other. Like we're good mates now. We've known each other for quite a few years now as well. So it's cool to kind of even like reconnect at the summit and like chat and speak to everyone as well. But then even be revisiting this thing as well, man, and doing a bit of a touch base, man, seeing obviously I know where the portfolio's at, but giving everyone else an update where the portfolio's at as well. And man, and unpacking it, dissecting it all from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, to give us a recap of that last episode for people who are going to be too lazy to go back and listen to it, maybe they've started listening to APS, like Scouting Australia podcast, after that episode came out, because it was pretty early days, only 4 or 5 months into the podcast's launch, birth. Man, to give us a recap of where the portfolio is at when we kind of finished that back then as well, where were we kind of sitting, man? Because you had a pretty substantial portfolio there. You had a heap of rentals, executed granny flats, you had duplexes in the portfolio. You've also got commercial in the portfolio as well. But man, like where was the portfolio kind of sitting around that time? As a bit of a recap for everyone out there.
So from the last time we did a podcast, I actually listened to it today and I'm pretty sure it was sitting at about $7.5 million.
Okay.
In estimated value of me and some valuations.
Yeah.
Like the data I have now, it's all from either selling or from valuation.
Okay.
So.
Okay, sweet. So man, let's run through it then, right? So you got $7.5 million portfolio, 12 properties, spread across 9 resi, or call it 8 residential investment properties, plus your primary residence, which is a little unit down in Cronulla, and or the Shire, sorry, and man, 3 commercials as well, split between yourself and your wife, obviously, Steph.
So it was 14 titles, 16 tenants. That's what we got to at the max.
Okay, sweet. Okay, at the so it's 14. Okay, cool.
14
all right, so
2 granny flats.
So from that poddy, did we acquire any more? Did you acquire any more before you went through sell down?
No.
Okay.
So in the past 12 months, we've done nothing.
Yeah. And that's the end of the poddy, guys.
So we actually we sold down.
Yeah.
And then we've bought a principal place of residence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have bought one.
Yeah, man. No. Yeah, because I was just checking. Because obviously the 12 properties in the 3 years were you did the primary residence earlier, and then you had the commercial from a fair bit earlier as well. And so obviously the acquisition of those 12 deals through those 3 years. But man, it was kind of a big reason of why I wanted to kind of get you back on for this. Is a lot of people look at this strategy. People look at obviously property as a vehicle to get multiple things, and sometimes it can be just to build out a passive income for lifestyle, and to retire early, whatever. Some people just want the primary residence, and then some people want the hybrid, right? They want the best of both worlds, and they want both. But you kind of found yourself in a position where you made the decision that you're under a little bit of pressure, obviously, to go the primary residence from the missus and go down that front. But you kind of made the decision to kind of take the step back. It was kind of, I don't call it a step back because it steps forward, because you're banking profit, you're selling down deals. And that's why I thought it was a very different story from everyone else's who, okay, no worries, you're at my 4 titles and now you're at 20 titles and all the rest of the stuff, which is cool. But this is kind of almost like a complete curveball and all that as well. So, man, I'd love to, what was the reasoning? What was the reasoning behind going through the sell down? I'm
a broker, if people haven't listened to the last episode, but I've always got a serviceability spreadsheet for me, my wife, and my current asset and liability position.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I buy an owner occupier? And just to access equity,
yep.
you're increasing your debt, then you're getting another loan against the new property, so you're borrowing 100%.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Like, you can't go buy all those investment properties and then pull out all this equity as a deposit for a house, then go buy the house.
Yeah.
Unless it depends on your income or how high you want to go with a purchase price. But in my situation, it was the vision of buying an owner occupier property was not possible in the current situation.
Yeah, because obviously debt was a lot higher at that, but like it was the interest rates had gone up so much, it was cost so much, so you couldn't get the debt level to buy the sort of primary residence that you wanted. And so obviously that the decision was kind of being made for you. If you wanted that primary residence, you were going to have to go through a sell down.
So I looked at it and I was like, okay, so the first bunch of properties, the bread and butters that we bought, I kept ripping equity out to buy other properties that are at the back end of the portfolio. So the first half of the portfolio was still sitting at 80%.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less, just with a little bit of growth.
Yeah.
But the back end of the portfolio was sitting sub 50.
Okay.
So like really good LVR. So if I was trying to carve it up. Do I sell the first bunch of bread and butters with the higher debt? Yeah, it's good. I'll pay some tax, but I won't net that much.
Yeah.
I'll kill some debt, but I'll net a little bit.
Yep.
Then I'm like, okay, well, if I sell where all the cash is at the back end of the portfolio, I'll have heaps of cash. Still got heaps of debt.
Yeah.
And then because they're bread and butters, I've kept pulling equity out. Interest rates have gone up. The yields haven't balanced.
They're bread and butters, yeah. Even though the rents have gone up, especially with the interest rates, yeah, I get you.
So I thought one day I called my wife and I thought, stuff it. I'm selling it. And she's like, are you sure? And
why everything?
Because to buy an owner occupier property, the borrowing capacity wasn't there.
You needed to sell everyone.
All of the residential. So I still own 3 commercial properties, but the residential, they impacted my serviceability.
Okay.
So the only way to do it was to sell. So
to be able to acquire the sort of primary residence that you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we didn't even know what we wanted to buy. So we're looking and we're saying, okay, do we want to buy, a duplex? We spend, a little bit less and buy a duplex. And you're like, well, you make money on the land. Duplex, most of them are probably built in the last 20 years or even new.
Yep.
You're paying for someone else's development.
You're paying
profit.
development margin, yeah.
So then we're like, do we buy a renovated house and have something nice? And then we're like, no, we're paying for someone else's profits. So we had a criteria that it had to be something where we can make money off. Okay. So I looked at it as an investment also. Yeah. Owning an owner occupier, there is tax benefits. Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'll reset, get that under my belt, and then I can always buy investment properties in the future.
Yeah, of course.
There's no issue there.
Yeah. And so the big thing for you was like, you needed that debt back to do the sort of deal that you wanted to do from a primary residence perspective. So, I know you're a very analytical sort of guy. And so, to go through this, you must have run the numbers and crunched the numbers so many times over to make the decision that it was the right decision to do it, right?
I did, but...
Yeah.
it was end of the year and selling like I think we sold 11 properties.
Yeah,
it was a
it's
pain.
huge.
It was a pain. There's renovations that need to be like repairs and maintenance and different agents and like it wasn't easy.
It's cross states as well.
I had to do it all at once because if the right property did pop up and we needed to then sell 11 properties at the time, it would have been a pain.
And it probably would have been a fire sale.
Yeah, exactly. So we did it. It worked out well. And then when we had the money in the account, my wife's like, well, there's nothing I want to buy. Like, what the hell did you sell all these properties for? We should just keep rentvesting. Yeah. And then I'm like, and then we ended up finding something. And it's been probably the best decision we've made.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So where we bought in the Sutherland Shire, it's in a suburb that's like one of the best suburbs in the Sutherland Shire. Houses there, very expensive, way outside our budget.
Okay.
Way outside our budget. Like, we bought a house from someone in their 90s. They're going to retirement village.
Wow.
And it was just a good window of opportunity. It came up. We thought it was outside of our budget.
Yep.
We ended up speaking to the agent. We went to it. There was no one else interested. There was another couple interested. It was a weird time, end of November, end of the year. People were slowing down.
Holidays,
they were going to a retirement village, and it's original 1970s, but it's in a really good part of the suburb and in a really good suburb. So we thought it was outside of our price range. We ended up we went to auction, and then, we
snagged it.
We got it. So we still had to sell a few properties after, but it was like not that many.
Yeah.
So we had a 12-week settlement, and we just we could take the risk because we knew it was only a couple of properties.
Yeah, sweet. And so I think the cool thing about thinking about this, right, is you had to make it a decision. Like you're making a decision for a personal, for kind of more of an emotional play, right? Which is the security of a primary residence. And we'll go through the numbers in a second of what you sold all your deals for, what you bought them for, what you sold them for, and what we netted out at, which was an extremely round number that we actually came to when you and I worked it out a second ago. Yeah. But man, you've still gone in and bought the primary residence with an investor's mindset. So you haven't gone and made an emotional decision and gone and bought a brand new product or a fully renovated and paid someone else's profit. Yeah. And I think that's really important to note, guys, is like Nick's made some extremely astute investment decisions in his own portfolio to net what he did from the sale of, and most of those deals you only had for a few years.
Yeah, most of them cost me 50 grand.
Yeah.
And equity releases were 50 grand.
Yeah.
So really, to get to this position, I started with 100 grand.
Yeah. And then just recycled equity.
Came in later, but really day one was 100.
Yep.
The rest of it was then a bit of savings and then equity only.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing as being a broker, to say to clients, to save the deposit that I went on a 70% LVR, 30% deposit plus stamp duty. Impossible for me to save that.
Yeah.
Physically impossible. But I started with say 100 grand. Went down the investing path. I used that 100 grand to multiply to get my deposit.
Yep.
Still got some money left over as well. Impossible to save my way to deposit.
Yep.
Impossible.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have done it without the investing path.
Yeah. And if we do jump forward a tad and keep talking about the primary residence for a second, you're happy to disclose what you sort of paid for that?
Yeah.
So you paid $3 million for that, right?
3,150.
3,150. Yeah. And you have the upside potential of being able to do an extensive renovation on that house. Yeah. So you could do a cheaper sort of, more budget sort of style reno, or you could go high-end finishes, which is what you guys were avoiding buying.
Correct.
And you're also in now a very exclusive area. So you bring that product to market. Someone with deep pockets could come in there and just buy that ready to go and not have to go through that massive renovation process.
That 100%. But the whole thing is as well with waiting till this particular moment to buy.
Yeah.
We bought our unit. It was our own OC. We
Yeah.
did that. We just did it because we did it. But every time we rent vested, we're in a townhouse, 3-bedroom townhouse. We then went to a duplex. And I said to my wife, I don't want to buy a house that in 5 years' time I'm selling and trading up again.
Yeah.
I want to buy the potential forever home. And this has got the bones to be the potential forever home.
Yeah.
So
do you mind me asking, we can cut it if you want after, but what suburb did you buy in?
it's called Barony.
Barony, okay, yeah.
Next to Cronulla.
Yeah, it's on the big, what's the lake there, the river?
Yeah. On the
it's not Hawkesbury.
I don't know.
You live there, bro. What are you talking about?
But I only lived there for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't grow up there. What's it called?
It's not the Hawkesbury, is it?
It's Fuck, I don't even know.
I don't know either. That's so good, mate.
Yeah.
Look, you can tell you're not a local.
Yeah.
Nah, that's cool, man. Sweet, dude. So if we wind back from that for a second, right? You bought your primary residence, which we're about to go through here in a second, the apartment in 2017 from memory.
We signed the contract in 2016.
Yep.
Off the plan settled in 2018.
Okay, so you didn't actually buy your first primary residence until 2018, right?
Yep.
And that was high fives, nearly $600,000.
575.
575, right?
Yep.
So you bought a house for 575 that you've settled in 2018.
Yep.
And then in 2023,
Yep.
so in a 5-year window,
Yep.
is that all you guys could afford at the time? Roughly?
At that particular time.
Yeah, 2018, 2016, 2018.
2016, I was like in my 20s. I, traveled a lot,
Yeah.
partied a lot,
Yeah.
and then saved up a deposit. Thought, like my mother-in-law's like, oh, why don't you go buy a unit, near where I have a unit
Yeah.
in the suburb where they live in, like
Yeah.
every parent
Yeah,
says.
of
Even
course.
my mum used to say that to my brother, go buy a unit down the road.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then didn't really think
Yeah.
much, and then
What I'm getting at here, though, is like you've paid like 575 for this thing, right? And then a 5-year window, because of what you did with investing,
Yeah.
which again, we haven't even jumped into yet. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here.
Yeah.
But in a 5-year window, you have upgraded from a $575,000 home
yeah,
to a $3.15 million home.
Yep.
You went in with a 30% deposit, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is just shy of $1 million.
Yep.
Plus stamp
Plus
duties
stamp
and all the
duties.
rest of stuff.
Yep.
So you've gone from in a 5-year window, and you've gone in with a 30% deposit plus closings over $1 million cash,
Yep.
liquid cash
Yep.
that you've made from profit
Yep.
from these deals.
Yep.
Plus, obviously, a huge amount that would be sitting in offset now
Yep.
on top. So you could have gone a lower LVR. You probably could have
Yep.
gone in 50% LVR if you wanted to. Unnecessary, but better to have liquid cash. If you want to do the renovations, it's there.
we went max lending.
Yep.
We could get high, but we went 70%
For a good rate
For
as
a good
well.
rate.
Yep.
We got interest only for 2
Okay.
years. Usually can't get interest only. Or you can, but like for particular reasons, we went interest only just so we can conserve cash. We've still got some cash, and some lenders allow it if you have a reason.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So you went through the sell down. Okay. All right. Beautiful, man. So,
And
I mean,
the thing is, it's like we upgraded from a 1-bedroom unit
yeah.
to where we are now, but not from the unit,
Yeah.
from everything else.
Of course.
Because
of course.
The unit was the lowest performing
performing.
asset in the whole portfolio. So if, for example, I listened to my mother-in-law and
Yep.
said, hey, or my mum, buy the unit, we lived in the unit
Yep.
for 5 years,
Yeah.
thinking one day we'll then get the house.
Yep. Yeah.
There's nothing. There's
No.
no deposit to buy the house from that unit.
Man,
That
let's run
particular unit.
let's run through the numbers on that as well, because I think that's really important thing here to note, guys. Because like a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll buy the primary residence and then in 5 years I'll upgrade to the primary residence. But as we're about to see in the numbers here, Nick grossed a $50,000 difference in 6 years, or from you purchased in 2016, so 2016 to 2023, 7 years. Man, you've made it was 50 grand. Before costs, you know what I mean? So like before you had to pay agents fees and whatnot. So like, as you're saying, there's the lowest performing property. So it's not like that property leapfrogged you into a
Correct.
$3 million
Correct.
plus
Exactly.
property.
Yep.
So, mate, let's run through the numbers on that. I really want to kind of dissect the portfolio. Let's figure out what we made from a net position as well. Man, give us a run through. Man, let's almost like rapid fire these properties.
Yep.
What you've paid, what you sold them for. We can work out sort of the net profit roughly from that as well.
Yep.
Sorry, gross profit. Obviously, we're gonna have a tax. We're gonna be moving into a tax event here as well.
Yep.
But man, let's run through, man. Let's bang these out, because obviously you got a lot of them, even if we're excluding the commercial from it. So the old primary residence.
The unit, 575 purchase price.
Yep.
Was off the plan. 625 sale.
Okay. So literally,
December last year. It's worth
50K.
more, but there's some strata issues, not physical issues. It's
Yep.
that they spent all the money on stupid things, and then they had to get a loan for the strata, and strata's gone up, so people don't want to buy that unit because the strata's
Yep.
double. So
Yeah.
we just
And strata
exit.
sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just exit.
okay, sweet. And then you bought in Campbelltown,
Yep.
Campbelltown, suburb of Campbelltown. Yeah, Bradbury.
Housing Commission House,
Yep.
490. We
Yeah,
paid.
and you bought that yourself back in the day as
Yep.
well.
2018.
Okay, 2018.
Sold that for 740.
So that is a literal neat $250,000 on the dot.
Yep.
Perfect. What about investment two? This is with the other BA,
Yep.
but we easily outperformed.
Yeah, you can say that, but that was the easiest property to sell. It was like the only one
Interesting.
that
Why?
was there was no repairs and maintenance.
Okay.
There was nothing. Every other property there was some headache that popped
Some
up.
little thing you had to do. You mean in the sales process, in the building a
sales
pest?
process.
Yeah.
That one was actually really good.
Okay.
317 we paid for it. We sold it 530.
Okay. Okay, sweet. What's that? Was it around 215? Yep, sweet. 215,000. When did you buy that one?
The
19?
start of 19.
2019. Okay, now you start the journey with APS.
correct.
Yeah, we bought it effectively the same property. If any, it's a better
Down the
property.
road. Yeah, it's
better property.
physically
Straight
better.
Five over.
280 purchase.
280K. Sold price.
Sold price 560.
560. Okay, sweet. So in less time,
But
we've doubled.
there was some selling costs. It was about
Okay.
20 grand it cost me
20
to,
grand.
To rectify just a few issues.
Okay. All right. So if we kind of subby that out of the back end of that, we're talking about 260K.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Perfect. What else we got? Next one was next door.
Yep, next door. 290 we paid.
Yep.
525
Okay.
we sold it for. That also had similar issues to next door, but we decided not to go down
The rectification route and sell
to
it
fix it, because
almost as
if
is.
we ended up having to spend a bit of money, we would have the net amount would have been more of a headache. So we just said, you know what, we'll sell it and we'll move on.
Yeah. So you sold that one. So that was pretty much no maintenance works on that because you sold it almost like an as is sale. Which when you look at it,
when,
man.
Like when I went and reviewed the old Peston building, and I had emails from you identifying all the issues in it, but we knew we got it for so much cheaper than what it's worth.
Yeah.
That what we had to get fixed still made it like it was still a good profit. We just didn't do anything. We just let it sit there for the past couple of years.
I get you, man. With the one before it as well, the 20, you said you had to put 20 grand in to fix it. Did you sell it? Like, was the 20 grand, was it 560 a sale price and then 20 grand off?
No.
Or 580 and then 20 off?
It was 560 is the sale price.
Yeah.
But for us to sell it, we had
money?
people walk through and they're like, you need to fix X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
And it cost us 20 grand to get it to a selling position.
Okay, and then you sold it at
Then
560.
we sold it at
so effectively
560.
like a 540 net.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct,
okay, cool.
exactly right.
Because like when I look at these numbers, right, like you say that, like so the one you bought through the other guys back in the day at 317, you sold for 530.
Yep.
The one we bought, like, again, it's 27,000 cheaper and it sold for pretty much the same money because you went down that same route.
Yep.
So that makes sense, man. No, that's cool. All right, mate, what about number 5? That was another one in Queensland?
That one was
Queensland bread and butter?
the other bread and butter in Yep. That one was for $295 purchase price.
Year of acquisition?
It would have been
The two before it would have been 2019 as well, yeah?
So 2019 was the first one.
Yep.
December, just before Christmas.
Okay.
The second one was January.
Yep.
The third one was the third bread and butter we bought in February, March.
Okay. Yep.
295 purchase, 570 sale.
Jeez, that was a big one.
And that was easy to sell. Very, very clean. You know,
That was a
probably
good
spent
house.
$1,000 to sell it. Like it was minimal. That was a good one.
I think that's 285K. Beautiful. So 285K, and we're talking early 2020.
Yep.
And you sold that mid or late 23.
Everything was in the last quarter of 23.
Okay, so we're talking
sold.
2.5 years.
Yep.
To net 285. Oh, so to net 285 as a sales price on that one. Investment 6.
That was the other
House
part
and
of Brisbane.
granny,
We ended up building a granny.
All in on the house and granny.
All in house, granny, and renovation. 385.
Okay, 385K.
It was cheap at the time.
Yep. Yeah, that was a stonker. That was like a 9% yield straight up. What'd you sell that for?
702.
Okay, sweet. So we're talking 415K.
Yep.
Hang on, is that right? 315K. Ish. Yeah. 317K. But 315.
Yep.
Yep. 7. This is when we went to Adelaide.
We went to Adelaide, the first single dwelling house. That was 275 purchase. 502.
502.
Yeah.
Cool. You like your O2s, man.
That was
Get your little
auction.
wins.
That was an auction.
Okay. Tell us the story behind that one. That was a funny one.
So we put it to market. The tenant ended up throwing in a lowball offer and said, "You've got to, fix 20 different things." We're like, "Nah." And the agent's a young guy. He was probably
He's a bit green, yeah.
very green, but he didn't have anything else on, and he ended up performing very well on this property and the next one.
Yeah.
So the tenant ended up buying it off.
So the tenant tried to
502.
lowball you and all the rest of it and get it for like 50 grand and ended up paying 50 grand more anyway. Okay. All right, sweet, man. That's cool. And then number 8.
The duplex.
Also in Adelaide?
That was the two titles in Adelaide. We paid $322,500. And we sold it for $686.
Jesus.
That was the highest performing property by far.
Okay. That's massive. And the cash flows on it were hectic the whole way through, hey?
Yeah.
That was wild.
So that one there's a story behind that one as well. So
Okay.
were having. She
That's
was. They were trying to-
360K, man.
Yeah.
When did you buy that? What was the date on that? Jesus.
July, I think, was August 2020.
July 2020. Jesus. And so the other ones before, so you go 2020, 2020.
Yeah.
The granny in Brizzy, that's 2020.
Yep.
2020 for the first one at Adelaide.
Yep.
July 2020. Oh, man, you bought like 6 properties in 6 months.
Yeah. And then that one settled in September, and then that was the end of 2020.
Okay.
But that one, there's a story behind it.
Okay.
Trying to sell it off market. The agents, they try and get you in and say, I'll sell it off market, it won't cost you anything. So they get the listing, you sign the exclusive, you're with them for 3 months. I had to sell. So he wasn't having any he didn't have any good feedback off market.
Yep.
A low ball offers from interstate buyers because it's an investment cash property. It's not a owner occupied property. Went to market.
What was the highest offer you got off market?
Like 500 grand. It was like
Really?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was like
Wow.
yeah, it was low balls. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And then we put it to market. It was going to auction on I think on a Saturday.
Yeah.
There were a few random like low ball offers.
Yeah.
And then the Thursday night, just before auction in SA, you've got to sign some document to go unconditional. A lady's like, yep. She went and signed it. She ran to her solicitors, got the signature witnessed or whatever. Went to the solicitor's office, the office of the
real estate agent.
real estate agent.
Yeah.
He kept on texting me saying, "Yeah, I've got it to from 550, so it's 650, and then there's crosses out and there's multiple cross outs and amendments all the way to 686."
Yeah, right.
She then the next day tried to rescind the contract, but she must have had buyer's remorse, done her own research, and said, or her family's like, "What did you do that for?" And she was trying to pull out the whole way to settlement. So I'm liaising with the conveyancers the whole time. They're saying pretty much she's not like logging into the settlement system. There's no sign of her like settling. So they wanted me to rescind the contract.
Yeah.
We weren't. We ended up having other offers right at that same time that then went cold because like it's unconditional.
Yeah, of course.
Got to settlement day, they settled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I was packing it a little bit just
nervous.
because that property was the last one to go.
Yeah.
I needed that to go for my principal place of residence.
Yeah.
So
okay. So it was very important. So that's why you had to hold it together.
She paid way
as
too
well.
much.
Yeah, okay. That's crazy, yeah.
Paid way too much.
Man, but 360, I'll tell you what, dude, you've done like 120% growth in a little over 3 years. That's wild. Okay, sweet, man. And then after that deal, that's a cool story, by the way. But man, after that deal as well, what do we roll into after that?
We did the last house and granny flat.
Yeah, up in Brizzy as well. 500 all in.
So 330 purchase, did a reno to make it double story, it's like 5 bedrooms, and then we did the granny flat. So it was all in for 500.
Yeah, okay. Pretty much bang on the dot.
Yeah.
Okay. And sale price?
800.
800. And you sold those quick and clean, hey?
That one was online. A few of them we went off market, and other buyers agents came and bought them for like market.
Yeah.
And they're all tenanted, so it was hard to go do a full proper campaign.
Yeah, of course.
Got to clean it,
especially
get it
when
ready.
they're cash flow deals.
And they're like in areas where it's like they're probably not kept in the best condition for presentation.
Yeah.
So interstate buyers agents. And that one, an owner occupier came in and
I remember that, eh? Yeah, and they're going to stick the extended family out the back because it's a big house, like 5x2 out the front, and then the granny out the back as well. So that's cool, man. That's pretty cool, hey. And so that's it as a total, hey. That's everything that you bought and sold during that period, excluding the 3 commercial deals.
That's right.
Yeah, sweet. And so we worked this out just before we jumped on. I rounded a couple of numbers either up and down to make him a clean 5, and we literally landed on exactly $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So even bringing Bradbury in 2018 at a 490 sales price, like the 5 year, you had essentially 2 years of heavy acquisition.
Yep.
What was the time frame of the last granny in Brizzy? Do you remember? Early 21?
Feb 21.
Feb 21.
Bought it, and then we built it later in the year.
And do you remember the month that you bought Bradbury? That's going back a long way.
That was February 2018.
Okay. So you literally bought... And all right, execution piece would have taken a little bit after that, but you bought 9 properties during a 3-year window. You rode them for another 2.5 years max for the total, and you netted $2.5 million. How much did you start the portfolio with?
Threw in 50K for the deposit to the unit, and then off the plan, it then valved up, and then we started equity then, and we probably put in another 50
in that first unit.
Yeah, and then probably through that got me into Bradbury, and then for the next Queensland, I had some savings.
Yep.
So it was probably like 100 to 150
Everything.
of my own money, and then like later on down the piece, like towards like maybe end of 2020, a bit more savings, from bonus at work when I used to get an annual bonus that then helped roll into like the 2021 purchase. So
Okay. So what do you reckon max you would have tipped in all in on your own portfolio? Would it have been 200?
between 150 and 200.
150 and 200. Okay. I'm going to call it 199 to sound really cool and be under 200.
Call it like, up to, because there was bits and pieces where it's like equity and then I had savings.
So you want to call it 200?
Yeah,
you reckon 200 is probably fair, hey? Okay, cool. So, mate, you've turned in a sub 5-year window, or even if you ride, the full 5.5 years of initial acquisition all the way through to sale, you've turned 200 grand into 2.5 million of banked profit.
Yeah. Some of it after pay
wild.
tax, but there'll be more than 2 mil in
Yeah, even after tax, because obviously in Australia we get our 50% capital gains tax discount for anything owned over it. Obviously PPR, it's not a huge amount, but it's tax free.
Yeah.
So there's a few different sort of things in here as well. But man, that is a ridiculous result.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, like, when I called my wife and I was like, I was always under the impression, like, and you were talking about this at your summit yesterday, and so I was like, selling property, you're losing. Never sell property.
You were saying this back in the day.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably said this earlier.
100%, man.
Never sell property. But it's like, I haven't really been able to do anything the past, like, started a new job, had a kid, interest rates went up. So like, there's been a few different things that's like paused the journey.
Yeah.
But then when I really look at it, it's like, do I just sit there with the same portfolio for the next 20 years? Maybe my income might go up, interest rates might go down, but like...
Effectively, you're stuck.
You're stuck. Yeah. So the unit had to go. Bradbury also had to go.
Yeah.
Like, just, there's a lot of debt in the first, like, properties.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then I'm like, I could sell everything, buy the house that we don't have to then trade up in the future.
Yeah.
We were just lucky that the timing kicked in, because when we were looking to buy the house, when we had the money, there was nothing. And then even since then, I've got like I try to, what do you call it, buyer's remorse. I look every day, I look at Sutherland Shire,
trying to convince yourself of something better.
At it, and I've been looking for 6 months to see, like, has there been any other deals that, like, and there hasn't really. It's hard. It's a different market. So every owner occupier is very specific, but investment is like, you can buy anything as long as the numbers work.
Of course.
So,
mate, so to recap on that and the kind of the point you're making there, you bought yourself a good deal. Like, it was still a good deal from an owner-occupier perspective. And it's something that's got, man, I like the idea that, like, it's something that you could stay in for the long term if you really wanted to, because it's in a great area. You could but then you could also, like, put the cash into it like you're thinking about doing. Like, all right, you've put a little bit over $1 million into this thing to buy it and settle it at a 70% LVR. You've still got, all right, let's say you pay $500,000 tax, right? I don't know exactly the figure it'll be, but you're still going to have over $1 million left over potentially for a reno. Whether we do that now or whether we do that down the track or whatever you do from that side as well.
I was always thinking keeping that parked ready to do a renovation. And my wife's like, it was a big move, and like, it broke us. We're like, you know what? I don't want to move again. When you do a renovation, you have to move out. So I was like, you know what? It's hard. Like, the walls are hard. We won't need to do any renovations. It's livable at the moment. My son's very active. He's bashing the walls. He's got textures and he's drawing on the walls. So like, if we went and spent big money and did a renovation, like.
He'd wreck it now. Yeah, it's not the time to do it now.
Like, we'll just sit on it. And I thought, okay, well, why not go back to investing?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And the summit G'd you up, you reckon?
Yeah, it did, for sure.
So to recap on that,
actually,
man.
last week,
maybe
last week I thought about it, because I was thinking, I'll do more commercial. I'll do, I won't buy any more, because one of the reasons as well, I mismanaged the portfolio.
Okay.
So I focused too much time on work. I used one bank account where my salary goes in, the rent goes in, I buy Uber Eats from, I do all that stuff on.
It was messy.
It was messy. I had an email address that I had from when I was 15 that had bloody, Domino's junk mail going to. So like, every day I get 50 emails. So like, then to siphon and find the real emails. It's just, so like, moving forward, proper spreadsheet, proper bank account, review regularly.
What do you think of the spreadsheet that was in School of Property?
Yeah, really good. Can I get a copy? Or
you got to buy School of Property. Nah, I'll send you a copy. You can have a copy. It's good, mate. Like, structure keeps it all together. Exactly like you say, man. When things get too big, it's very hard to manage a property like that.
100%. I was like, how do you with 1,000 properties?
Exactly,
manage.
Man,
I'm thinking like, so I was thinking,
And I have a great assistant.
Portfolio 2.0 would be, I've got my house. I'll then, I really just want to go down the bread and butter path.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, cash flow is good, but, I earn decent money, enough to pay the mortgage. For me, I just want capital growth, build a portfolio, in the future, maybe even sell them down again.
Yeah.
And then the end goal would be good quality cash flow deals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect, man.
But, for me now, if I just put all my money into cash flow, I could just be sitting there for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And, it's fine, but I think I could get more growth.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I think what I love about this as well is you've done enough, even in terms of what you've put into the primary residence, you've gotten a great deal from it. You've got a lever you can pull that, all right, maybe, and we're talking a big reno here, which guys, when I say this number, you're going to think, what the hell, that's a crazy sounding reno, but you're probably talking $1 million sort of plus, or roughly $1 million bucks. Yeah. But this is it's almost like rebuilding a house, but it's using the existing structure and turning this thing into
fully gutted.
Yeah.
Kitchens, bathrooms, bedrooms, reconfigure, pool, a house sold 1 block away, and we met the builder recently.
Yeah.
He walked into it when we just settled, and he said, you've got to spend $1 million, just above $1 million. But the house that he just renovated was 1 block away, and it sold for big bucks.
Yeah, right.
Massive profit. The guy bought it last year, and he renovated it and sold it. So he did it as a owner-occ development,
project,
probably tax-free type of owner-occ development, and he made good money. So we can have that under our up our sleeve for the future.
A lever to pull.
Do it now.
Yeah.
We have a house to live. We've ticked that box off. We own the land. That will go up. But
when the little menace has grown out of bashing into walls and putting his head,
I don't think that will happen.
We'll get him a straight room so he can't do that. So he's got his what is the padded room that Gascoigne used to have before games. Man. So that's cool. So that's for down the line. It's a good lever you can pull, and so if you were to pull that, let's say now, like you said, big bucks. Let's say you put that in, and all right, you're 3.1 now. It's 4.2 mil all in. What do you think something like that would be worth now? Comparables. What are we talking like?
The house on the next block sold for 6.5.
6.5.
Every house is different.
Yeah.
But ours has a little bit of water views. That doesn't have water views. Ours is a little bit different. Nothing's exactly comparable. But it'll be between 5.5 to 6.5.
Yeah.
Easy. So there's money to be made.
Yeah. Definitely.
And we'll have a house to live in.
Yeah.
So I kind of had that up my sleeve. It's I'll see all these people that are trading up every 5-10 years, own OCC, tax free. And it's a good sub portfolio, because in that retirement you can sell that down, downsize, and then put that into cash flow deals. And then that's your retirement as well. So it's still good to be building wealth in your own occupier vertical.
Man, just because it's man, even if nothing else, even if you did just live there forever, and let's say you do that reno, even let's say the reno costs 1.4 and it gets you to that 6.5 mil. Why not make 2 mil on a primary res or save? Say it's you know what I mean. You're not paying the premium of the extra 2 mil for paying for someone else to do it from that end. Man, why not? That's amazing.
We couldn't afford we went to. We could have put more money down and bought something a little bit more, but that's when we're going all in.
Yeah.
And then,
but realistically, why, man? $6.5 million worth of value that obviously you can do down the track. That would be worth it. That's it. 6.5 mil is a nice house. Yeah. You got some water views. It sounds like it'd be a bit of a palace as well. So that's cool, man. I like that. Man, if we kind of round out and talk about the biggest learnings or wins or struggles or whatever that you kind of had during the journey, because you've been through a lot, man. You built a 12 property portfolio, you built 3 grannies, you invested across 3 different states, renovations, all these sorts of things. Bought with a buyer's agent, without a buyer's agent, all these sorts of things as well. Bought off the plan, man. What would you say would be the biggest learnings, wins, mistakes, everything that you'd kind of have out of the portfolio?
Okay. I would never buy a unit again.
Okay.
Unless I retired and I want to downsize, no, I'll never buy a unit again.
Okay.
I'd never buy off the plan again. Mm-hmm. I don't mind strata if it's for commercial, because all the insurances and all that stuff. But strata's no good for me.
Yep.
The running the portfolio like a business properly, regular checkups, email address set up for just the property, and bank account. The next portfolio, I'll have a look at different ways of structuring it.
Yep.
And there was reasons why in the first residential portfolio I did it from my 90% LMI
I remember.
And benefits.
Yep.
So what else
and it allowed you to maximize super low deposits, have no LMI. There are a lot of professionals out there that get access to that, and then be able to scale that portfolio pretty hard. And look at what you did with 200 grand. Do 200 grand in 5 years to 2 mil net, right? post tax, like roughly, like that's
100%.
crazy, man.
And then what else? Like it would be more like could have gone.
Call your Grant Cardone, bro. That's 10x rule. That's a 10x rule.
I could have kept going, but then I had a son, and then
Yeah.
there's a few different things.
Yeah.
So like I have paused for a bit, but I did a lot of the heavy lifting
100%.
initially.
Yeah.
And then what else? Probably
So treat the portfolio like a business. The downtime, but man, like there's always times where it stops. You had a kid, man. You moved. You did all these things.
Yeah.
You reset the portfolio. You're going to set it up in a different way when you build it moving forward. Man, that's great.
Yeah. Like and as well, just keeping on top of it like a business. So when it comes to tax time, because I was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And then so then it's easy for my accountant, for myself. So, and then just I think you can't save your way to a deposit, and a unit is not going to get you your house, unless maybe the area you live in it might, but I don't think so.
But realistically as well, man, like if you're in the same area and like even if the unit, let's say the unit doubles, the houses undoubtedly have doubled or more at the same time as well. So it doesn't even really keep you in touching distance. Like you have to invest to get this result, right?
And then like as well, like me doing it on my own, I bought a unit. I bought Bradbury, which is it's done okay.
It's done all right,
It's done
for
okay. And then engaging a buyer's agent is where then the portfolio like 10x.
Yeah.
That's had you in my corner. I had. And it's when you've had like minimal clients, so like we spent a lot of time on the phone, and like we really went really hard. So like next time I do it, I've bought heaps of properties, but I still would use a buyer's agent. Yeah. Like, what am I going to do my own research and call agents and try and negotiate? Like, I don't have time.
Yeah. You're good at what you're good at and you make good money at what you do, and then you outsource. Yeah. It's like, man, I'm not going to try and write my own loans. You know what I mean? You use a good quality
100%.
broker that's going to help you with it. So, man, that's awesome, man. Obviously, your specialty in the commercial broking. I know you do the resi as well, but like that's your niche. Like when people have the problems with the commercial, Nick's the man to call because he can pull the Houdinis.
And resi as well, but
But you know what I mean? Like you've had those big commercial deals.
Yeah.
That you can pull that stuff out of you. That's obviously the resi side. You're all over as well. But what I've seen you do from some of the commercial, the feedback I've had on some commercial deals, you kind of pulled finance out of your ass when it should have been possible.
Like if someone said to me, hey, I've got 50K, I want to go buy a unit, and then I want to get married, have kids, and then in the future I want to buy my house, or I want to go down, go down the Rentvesting path, could buy 20 investment properties, okay, or and then buy my owner occupier. Like as a broker, I can say it's probably not happening. Yeah. Not because unless you've got like really strong serviceability, your total debt is skyrockets. Yeah. And then like the bread and butter properties, that extra equity you're just ripping out for your owner occupier, the rent's not going to like catch up to look after. So you do need to do a reset. Unless you're happy being a rent investor. It's just there's no right or wrong way to do it, but the way I did it, I'm happy.
Man, I think a reset's good, and like I'm very pro selling when the time's right to sell stuff as well. Mate, it has netted you a ridiculous return, and what you got, like the biggest way I look at this thing as well, man, is like we probably have sat or we've landed on roughly 2 million net from 200,000 all in. You can't sneeze at a return like that in 5.5 years because it's banked profit. It isn't just equity and it's there. And, we're all very bullish and Mike's going to get going. But realistically, man, you've literally banked the profit. You have made that. You know what I mean? And there's not too many people that can kind of say that's 400 grand a year over that time. Like post-tax,
100%.
that's pretty good, man. Like that's a surgeon making 700 grand a year and then he nets that at the back end of the year. You made that from property investing on the side.
And it's all from cheap properties. It's not like, you look at a developer, developers at the moment, their feasibilities don't stack up that well. So they're buying, millions of dollars worth of like project or like land acquisition, construction. And the return's not that, it's not that much compared to like this. I just bought, I sat 2 years, 3 years later, sold, and then I had a profit. So like,
100%.
And, I could have sold individuals off or whatever, which I did. Like I sold one at a time. But I didn't have to sell. Like I wasn't in financial stress. I did it to buy a house. Yeah. My wife's happy now. So
happy wife, happy life.
She was always on my case.
And mate, you got some juice in the tank, man. You got a lot left over that we can obviously get started. So man, what's next? So you're doing a reset. You've done a reset. You're gonna set it up differently, and you're about to go hard into the bread and butter chase again.
Like I don't know how hard, but I'll buy a couple to start off with.
You want to test the BA again, huh?
No, I'll buy a couple to start off with, and then I'll
make sure I still got my mojo, huh?
No, definitely. I'll buy a couple to start. I've got to get some pre-approvals done this week, and then I'll buy a couple to start with, and then just I don't know.
See how they perform. So you're testing me, your dog.
No, but no one's got
I'm
a crystal
joking,
ball. Like, it
joking,
could have a super boom and then
Should we sing? No, AJ. Nah, man. Mate, honestly, any final words, dude? Like, I'm really appreciative of you coming in, sharing your time once again, man, and, man, running us through the epic portfolio it is. Any final words, dude, or you happy with that?
Thank you. Like, thanks to you mainly, like, and Australian Property Scout. But, like, if it wasn't for meeting you randomly on the internet.
The old LinkedIn message.
LinkedIn, you netted a really, good client initially, when you didn't have many clients.
Yeah.
And, I've
Been a
made
very
some
good-
decent money from it. So it's been a good working relationship.
100%, man. Very good reciprocal relationship, mate. Man, I'm honored to have you back on the show and to share the journey and what you've done, and man, being able to help you hit one of those goals and keep the wife happy as well.
She's happy.
Mate, are you happy to finish with a rapid fire? We didn't do them last time, man. You happy to do it now?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's do it.
I don't know what you're going to do. But, yeah.
Let's go, mate. All right, buddy. I'm going to smash you with these questions. Just hit me with whatever comes to mind straight up. Man, what is the biggest goal you're chasing in life?
Biggest goal?
Yes.
Financial freedom. But
What is that number?
I don't actually have a number. It used to be 100K, and then 100K, to be honest,
nothing.
is like nothing now.
Yeah.
And it's not being disrespectful.
First
but
number that
it's,
comes ahead.
I don't know, $500,000.
$500,000 a year. Oh, what a beast.
You got to set your goals high.
I was going to say dream primary residence. What is it and where and how much? But it sounds like you've pretty much got it once you do your reno.
Shitbox at the moment, but like it's got the bones to be a nice house.
Is there something else? Was there something else you'd want?
No.
That's it, huh?
No.
Okay,
Like,
beautiful.
to be honest, I even said to him, I don't want to live on a waterfront.
Yeah,
Like, they're
yeah.
too expensive. I can't afford one. But it's like I couldn't be bothered. My son's so active, he'll probably jump in the water.
Tackle a crocodile or something. Mate, dream holiday location.
Dream holiday location.
Yes.
I just love going to Croatia, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's where my mum's from, and that's
back
like,
home.
I love it there.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. All right, dream job.
Mortgage broker.
All right, beautiful. What's your favorite food? You're smacking down the burritos last night. What's your favorite food?
Meat, steak.
All right, beautiful. That's my exact answer. Favorite alcoholic beverage? You were knocking those margaritas over.
No, I didn't have one. No, I had. What did I have? Something else. It's all alcohol.
All right.
Like I don't know. Jack and Coke.
Jack and Coke. What a boring man. What a boring man. Mate, true or false to wrap up? You commonly get mistaken with Vince Vaughn. I heard that's true. True or false? You would beat Big Lukey Chusen. For the inside rap guys, Nick and Luke Chusen are almost the same guys. They're both ogres. They are massive, mate. You would beat Big Lukey Chusen in a wrestling
Sure,
match.
I'll back myself.
I'm going to organise that.
I got him.
Yeah, you got him?
I got him.
I'm going to organise that. Mate, that is it. That is a wrap. It's been an absolute pleasure jumping back on. Man, the recaps or whatever, where are you now, man? And normally like 20, 25, 30 minutes, man. You've had that much going on. We've gone for almost an hour. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the show, mate. And yeah, man, I can't wait to get you back on down the track when we go for another big run. Or unless you're just going to test me with a couple and then piss me off. So.
No, test with a couple and go do it myself.
Oh, there we go.
I love buyer's agents, to be honest. It's the best.
Mate, absolutely loved having you back on, mate. Love working with you
Thanks
as well.
for having me.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, make sure you send it on to someone else that might also take some great value out of it. In particular, guys, I think this one would relate well with anyone who thinks that investing can't help them get towards that primary residence, that dream primary residence. Nick and his story is proof in the pudding that is obviously very, very much achievable with his results in a 5-year window. So, mate, well done once again. If you're not following us on the socials, guys, make sure you jump over to @Australian Property Scout. Give us a follow over there. And if you haven't followed us or subscribed yet to the Scouting Australia podcast channel, also make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're following us. And until next week, guys, that's another Scouting Australia podcast.